What follows are the memoirs of our great granny, Ann Withington, née MacLean. The first few years of my life I lived in the old thatched cottage in Ardchiavaig. The far end had Grandad's work shed attached. He was a shoemaker, and had a reputation for making good working boots for men and women in the district. Shoes were not a general thing at the time, just for special occasions. Then came the building of our new house, down at the MacCulloch's Croft, official address, number 7, Ardchi. The MacCullochs were removed to Canada during the clearances. The old man was too ill to walk to Ushkin. His sons carried him on a bed. Over from Ushkin, they were rowed out to the sailing ship that stood offshore. Mr. MacCulloch died before reaching Canada, as did many of those poor people. A story in our family has it that the Ardchiavaig MacLeans were told to get ready for Canada, but as one of them was very ill, they were allowed to keep the cottage but lost their land. One old lady remembered the day her relatives emigrated. They were too upset to eat their porridge before setting off, so she had a good feed of porridge that day. The day of the cattle sale was a big day in the area. Most people had a few one-year-old animals to sell. Walking them to Monessen was quite an adventure. They were used to being out on the hills, away from people. We had watched through the window in the afternoon, tense in case my Uncle Hector returned with one or two of them, as he could not get a good price. £3 was considered pretty reasonable. Usually he would treat me to a chocolate bar that day. Fruit and nut at 2p per bar. How I loved that. Getting grocery and clothes was quite a different thing from today's visits to supermarkets. The steamship, the old Dunara Castle, tried to make it every 10 days. The shopkeepers got most of their goods then, and twice a year we would get a tea chest from Greenock. Their traveller would visit a couple of weeks beforehand to take the order and the payment for the previous order. Sacks of flour or oatmeal came from them, and food for the pony, cows, and hens. Eggs were collected very carefully each day, and taken to the village shop every week. 1 shilling per dozen helped considerably with the week's groceries. Meat was hardly ever brought. Rabbit snared or shot, an old hen, or perhaps a great treat, a young cockerel. Every spring a piglet was brought for 10 shillings, reared to be a large fat pig, killed in November, and every scrap was used carefully. Most autumns my Aunt Kate sent £1 from Glasgow to buy a stag from Torsay. The meat was kept in brine. After a month or two it was pretty awful, but it was kept to the end. Scones and oatcakes were baked once or twice a week. Pancakes were a treat. A clotty dumpling was for special occasions. Sometimes a pair of rabbits would be sold to the local butcher for 1 and 6, which would buy a white loaf for a Sunday tea treat, something to really look forward to. Grandfather was a very religious man, a key member of the Monessen Baptist Church. As an excellent singer, he was a precentor at the sermons, starting the singing and others following him. A fluent Gaelic reader, he was rather hesitant in speaking and reading English, and he ruled his family with a rod of iron. Uncle Hector was a gentle, quiet man. He worked the farm, cutting peats, making hay, digging potatoes, all very hard work, and no modern appliances to help then, just spade, scythes, rakes, and such like. Cows to be milked, fed, and their brines to be cleaned daily. The pony also had its daily attendance. Aunt Mary kept the house. She had a vivid imagination and wrote poetry. He was a very good cook, but didn't like cleaning. Uncle John and Aunt Kate lived in Glasgow, and sent us what money they could. Peat and driftwood was the main form of heating. In May, the whole family joined in the cutting, lifting, and stacking of the peats. One thing that was done very regularly was beachcombing, gathering wood and boxes. There was a popular saying, "Wait and see what the sea will provide," and it usually did. During the war, many things came ashore. Once or twice I found a large box of cigarettes, greatly enjoyed by several of the local men. The most unpopular arrival was a sea mine. During the early evening, there was a terrific bang and a flash. It had gone off. Quite a lot of rocks were blown into small pieces, and for some weeks after, the sheep walked around with black wool. When I was 5, I started school at Ushkin. There was probably about 12 of us from 5 to 14. The teacher, Miss Carmichael, taught us all in the one-roomed corrugated building on the road down to Ushkin. The classroom could be quite a squashy business, but there was always a good warm fire. I liked school, although at first I had difficulty with the language. I had very little English, Gaelic being the only thing spoken in the house. I once caused great hilarity by telling the other children I had got a new pair of yellow shoes, yellow being the word in Gaelic for brown. The schools at Ushkin and Benesson met at Christmas and Sports Day. Christmas was greatly looked forward to. We learned poems, sang carols and acted plays ready for the big night. On the night, we dressed in our best. The local garage man picked us up in his hired car and drove us all to the hall in Benesson. After displaying the talent show, we were given our tea, sandwiches, small cakes and biscuits. And we got a gift from Santa, a book or something. Then games were played. The old Grand Duke of York passed the parcel. A great night for all of us. On Sports Day we ran races. Egg and spoon, a potato really. Sack race, three-legged race and things like that. At 12 we took our bursary exam for the Oban High School. Neither I nor any of the others who passed did go to the high school, though. It was just not affordable when books and lodgings had to be paid for. Just too much for a Crofter family.